Welcome to another edition of Live Off the Floor. Kunle, thank you for coming.
Thank you
as
so
you are
much.
the second artist
Whoa.
of this 10-part series. So you've been described as a folk artist, a soul artist, whose songwriting is deeply rooted in African themes and the rhythms of the music as well. So I want to know how you created like a bridge to gap these two genres of music.
I grew up listening to a lot of music, thanks to my dad, who exposed me to a lot of variety of music and diverse genres. I just grew up in an age where storytelling was a big deal, and it was a huge part of my life. Every evening, there's always one old person telling us, call it fables, and using proverbs to form stories and songs and develop the morals and everything. So it was a big influence, and I grew up to realize that part of the tradition is gradually like phasing out, and it's a huge part of me. So I decided to look for means to use music from my influences around the world, and coupled with the storytelling part and the folk and the proverbs and the cultural part and the rhythmic part of my culture, and fuse it together and create a genre where I simply call Afro folk in a way. Yeah.
Right, Afro folk.
Yeah.
Now, so just so people know, you were born in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know how much of your life you actually spent in Africa.
Oh, quite a bit. I was still in Ghana for about 3 months this year, in around February, and from December, February, and in June, July. May, June, sorry. I spent quite a lot of time growing up because I had my background in engineering, and I had my degree in engineering
Right.
in Nigeria and Ghana.
Which is completely opposite from what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I started there. I think I lived straight on in Africa for about 18 years, 18 to
18?
23 years. Yeah.
Right, and I know you lived in Germany as well.
Yeah, I was going back and forth from Germany.
Right, so I mean you're a traveling artist,
I love it.
essentially.
Yeah.
When did you yourself get involved with music? You said you were growing up and your dad had a beautiful record collection. He was playing it with you and your brother, and I mean that was something that was always part of your childhood.
Yeah.
But when did you start playing an instrument, or when did you start singing?
Instrument playing got serious for me in 2010. Yeah, I was always, trying my hands and trying to pick up the guitar, learn by myself, but it wasn't really a steady thing. I was in church choir for a while during my college days, and
Did you like it then?
I did.
You
I've always
yeah.
loved it, but it was silent. It was a hidden passion that
Right.
no one really knows about. They know I love music, but
Right.
they never really, they never really understood how deeply rooted it was in me.
Right.
Not until 2011 was when I declared finally that I want to be a full-time musician.
Full-time.
And that was in Ghana.
Right. So you've coined a phrase. It's called music without boundaries.
Yeah.
And I want to know a little bit about music without boundaries. What does that mean to you?
Music with no boundaries means me being able to see someone playing gayagum, or someone playing the sitar, or someone playing harmonica, someone playing drums, someone playing whatever kind of musical instrument, vocals, I don't care, whatever part of the world it comes from, and being able to play with it
Right.
without having to create something that it just bridges the gap and just connects.
Right. There's no rules.
Yeah, no rules at all. Yeah.
And you've said before, because you've traveled so much, you're always learning. And the amazing thing about traveling is you're hearing different sounds, you're seeing different things, and you want to add that to your catalog.
Yeah.
You performed at the Just Music concert series, which they actually called you the Afro Folk Prince.
Yeah. Senam was the one who decided to.
So if they called you the Afro Folk Prince, who would you say that maybe inspired you or influenced you that could be the Afro Folk King or the Afro Folk Queen?
So there's actually one guy in Nigeria, actually a few of them, who brought Nigerian music to the limelight back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I can name the likes of Majek Fashek, there's someone called King Sunny Ade.
Okay.
And there's another one who he's known for the king of juju music, and juju music is a mix of like few Western rhythms, rooted in like West African percussions and
Okay.
A lot of proverbs and sayings and morals. Like it's
Right.
also it's very danceable party music, but
Right.
it's juju style. So he's called King Sunny Ade. He developed that genre, and there's another one called Commander Ebenezer. So they all have like
Right.
accolades they gave themselves. So when I was called Afro Folk Prince, I was like, wow, I guess
Right.
I'm on the journey to be
Exactly.
a legend like
The
those
king.
guys. Exactly.
The king. But if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you, right? You need to
Exactly.
give your name
So,
like that.
yeah, I'm
The
like,
self-confidence.
They gave me the name. Now I'm gonna own it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I also know that you taught music at the Stop Toronto, and that was teaching students about bringing awareness to mental illness.
Yeah.
And-
Actually, that was I was called to do like a songwriting workshop.
Right.
With it was a 2-day songwriting workshop.
Right.
And mental health is a big deal for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you take away from an experience like that?
Oh, I was super surprised that these kids at this age are
Right.
already aware.
So aware.
Yeah, I was. Oh my God, you need to hear the song.
Do you think because of social media, everything is sort of more out in the open and more people are talking about it?
I think more people are talking about it. I would still argue that it's not being talked about as it should be, though.
Right.
Like there should be more.
Right.
It should be something that the government will actually take on.
Right. Sort of a
Because-
major media.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's something that is. Yeah, I took it upon myself to start talking about it because we all have a certain degree of mental health,
Right.
whatever in us. Like, it's just the intensity is different and the kind of support system we have.
Right. And it's quite commendable that you are taking time and doing that on your own platform and using that. But it's quite amazing how powerful music is. It can be used as a tool
Yeah.
to sort of make these subjects more palatable.
Yeah.
It's like a tricky subject matter for most people.
Definitely,
But it's
definitely.
like music, you can turn it into an art form
Yeah.
by talking about these subjects.
Yeah.
So lastly, I know you're performing another concert this month.
Yep.
The Freedom Concert.
Yes, freedom.
So can you tell us a little bit more about that and where you're going to be performing?
I'll be performing at B-Side Lounge. Oh my goodness, they have good sound in that place. I like it a lot.
Right.
And it's an intimate setting. So I'm just going by music with no boundaries as well. The word freedom, I was asked the question, why did you choose the word freedom? Did you just get out of a trouble or jail or something like that? I'm like,
Right.
no. It
There's
has
a
nothing
deeper
to
meaning.
do. Yeah, there's a deeper meaning to freedom. It's not a word that I just throw around. When I talk about freedom in this sense, it doesn't necessarily go political, although there's a sense of it in it, but it's mostly about freedom to be who you want to be.
Right.
Freedom to be able to choose that, okay, I'm tired with this career.
Right.
I have actually always loved this. I'm going for it.
Go out
full
there.
on, head
Right.
on. Freedom also, mental health, being able to like not leave the stigma and come out and seek for help. It's also a kind of freedom because people feel chained and like, what, I can't say it. People will look at me weirdly or they will think I'm crazy. I'm like, we all are crazy in one way or the
Right.
other. Yeah, so you just have to have it fixed. So that kind of freedom. Also, I'm talking about freedom from mental slavery and emancipating yourself because I faced my own share of not understanding where I actually belong. Because I lived in Ghana, and Ghana was the place where I went to Ghana feeling black and African. But right there in Ghana, I was made to understand that I'm Nigerian black, not Ghanaian black. Subconsciously, it's quite interesting. Okay, now crossing the continent into the Western world, I realized I look around, I'm actually a minority here.
Right.
And I had a slight experience while I was coming out of Longamarquade, and I got stopped by a cop on a bike, and he just told me straight on, head on, like up against the wall. I'm like,
For what? Walking out of a music store.
I didn't know what I do. He said I fit the profile. I was like, oh wow, interesting.
Right.
So yeah, that kind of freedom and being able to not hold the hate,
Right.
free from the hatred, and actually see it as an experience and a way to also like create awareness and educate people. So that kind of freedom as well. So yeah, it's just freedom in. I could go on and on and on and
Right.
on. Yeah, but come to the concert.
Right,
You
exactly.
will get to
If people-
hear. Yeah.
People want to go. It's going to be when, December 12th.
December 12th,
Right.
doors open at 7. You can find tickets on my website, kunlemusic.com. And yeah, and there will be tickets at the door as well if it's not sold out yet.
Perfect. By then it probably will be. But thank you,
Yeah.
Kunle,
Thank
for
you
doing this.
so
We're so
much.
happy with the performance.
Thank you very
I can't wait to share it with our audience and yours.
Thank you.